A massive crack in the ground that's estimated to be up to 50 feet deep has opened up in Kenya seemingly overnight.
The ground beneath our feet is shifting, quite literally, as a massive geological event unfolds beneath the African continent. Africa is splitting in half, and with it comes the promise of something extraordinary, a new ocean. As the Earth rumbles and tectonic plates grind against each other, scientists and experts are racing to uncover the secrets hidden deep beneath the surface. What will this new ocean mean for the world? What new wonders will it reveal, and what new dangers will it pose? Let's find out. The western and eastern continental rifts combine to form the East African Rift system, which spans all the way from the Afar area of Ethiopia to Mozambique at its southernmost point. It is a dynamic continental rift that started millions of years ago and is currently separating at a rate of 7 millimeters per year. The ongoing activity of volcanoes located along the rift, as well as recent discoveries about the breakup of continents, lends credence to the theory that the continent may be breaking apart to make way for the formation of a new ocean. East Africa is home to a number of naturally occurring marvels that can be seen by the naked eye and have drawn tourists to the region. Lake Malawi and Lake Tanganyika in Tanzania are two examples of these lakes. Lake Malawi is the world's fourth biggest freshwater lake, and Lake Tanganyika is the world's second deepest lake. In addition, it encompasses active volcanoes such as the Lingai in Tanzania, as well as the Dalafila and Irta-Ale in Ethiopia. According to the findings of various scientific studies, Africa is in the process of rifting, which refers to the process of splitting into two pieces. According to research that was recently presented in the journal Geophysical Research Letters, two significant portions of the continent are separating from one another, which might one day result in the formation of a new ocean. Let's figure out why this breakup is happening and how long it will take for Africa to disintegrate into its component parts. What exactly is rifting? A single tectonic plate into two or more tectonic plates separated by divergent plate boundaries is what Science Direct describes as rifting. Rifting is the process by which a single tectonic plate is torn apart. And according to National Geographic, a lowland region that is dubbed the Rift Valley emerges wherever the tectonic plates of the Earth begin to drift apart. Rift valleys like these can be found both on land and at the deepest parts of the ocean floor. According to a paper published by IFL Science, this occurrence can be traced back to at least 138 million years ago, when South America and Africa were split up into separate continents. According to NBC News, the Arabian Plate has been moving away from the African Plate for the past 30 million years, and as a result of this process, the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden were formed. It is conceivable to stand on the precise location where, deep underneath, the continent is separating into two halves. This location may be found in one of the hottest places on Earth, along an arid stretch of East Africa's Afar area. This only stretch stands above the confluence of three tectonic plates that are very slowly ripping away from each other. This is a complex geological process that scientists think will eventually divide Africa in half and form a new ocean basin millions of years into the future. The process is already taking place. For the time being, the most compelling piece of evidence is a crack in the Ethiopian desert that is 35 miles long. New satellite measurements are helping scientists better grasp the transition and are affording vital tools to investigate the gradual creation of a new ocean in one of the most geologically unique areas in the world. Although the tectonic fate of the African continent has been researched for several decades, new satellite measurements are helping scientists better comprehend the change. Christopher Moore, a PhD student at the University of Leeds in the United Kingdom, who has been using satellite radar to monitor volcanic activity in East Africa that is associated with the breakup of the continent, stated that this is the only place on Earth where you can study how continental rift becomes an oceanic rift. It is believed that the formation of Africa's new ocean will take at least 5 to 10 million years, but the Afar region's fortunate placement at the boundaries of the Nubian, Somali, and Arabian plates makes it a one-of-a-kind laboratory in which to investigate complex tectonic processes. The crust of the Earth is made up of a dozen enormous tectonic plates, which are slabs of rock that have an uneven shape and are in a constant state of collision with one another, climbing over, sliding beneath, or stretching apart from one another. The Arabian Plate has been sliding away from the African Plate for the past 30 million years. As a result of this process, the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden were formed between the two connected landmasses of Africa and Arabia. Along the East African Rift Valley, which runs through Ethiopia and Kenya, the Somali Plate in eastern Africa is also peeling apart from the Nubian Plate. There are, however, a number of significant questions that remain unanswered, one of which is the question of what is driving the continent to divide apart. Some people believe that the vast plume of superheated rocks erupting from the mantle beneath East Africa could be the source of the continental rift that can be found in that region. According to Dr. Edwin Dindi, head of the Department of Geology at the Faculty of Science and Technology at the University of Nairobi, who was quoted by All Africa as saying, "The eastern arm of the Rift Valley is fairly active. This can be seen in the many tremors that occur around it." In addition to this, he stated that it will, however, take a long time, probably millions of years, for the continent to split apart. Even though the process of rifting has been going on for quite some time, the possibility of a split was brought to the attention of people all over the world in 2018 when a large crack appeared in the Kenyan Rift Valley. Nevertheless, at the time it was reported by The Guardian that the massive split had been caused by sudden erosion rather than being evidence that the African continent was actively tearing itself apart into two separate continents. According to Ken McDonald, a marine geophysicist and professor emeritus at the University of California, Santa Barbara, GPS sensors have transformed this field of research in recent years, making it possible for scientists to make precise measurements of how the ground moves over time. With GPS measurements, you can measure rates of movement down to a few millimeters per year, McDonald said. That's pretty accurate. As we continue to get more and more measurements from GPS, we are able to get a significantly better understanding of what is going on. The combination of in-depth satellite observations with extra studies conducted in the field might also be able to assist scientists in piecing together what is going on underneath the Afar region. However, even if this region serves as a living laboratory for a study of continental rift, the surrounding environment makes the work difficult. According to Cynthia Ebinger, the geophysicist at Tulane University in New Orleans, who has participated in a number of field research projects in the Afar region, it has been called Dante's Inferno. The inhabited village in the Afar Desert is the hottest place on the surface of the Earth. Temperatures during the daytime can frequently reach 130 degrees Fahrenheit, while at night they can drop down to a more comfortable 95 degrees. Some of Ebinger's research in the field was centered on an enormous fissure that was discovered in the Ethiopian desert in the year 2005 and measured 35 miles in length. According to her, the violent break occurred in a matter of days rather than the several hundred years that would have been required for the movement of tectonic plates. Since that time, Ebinger's research is focused on determining what causes these extreme occurrences. Her research leads her to believe that the process of rifting is not always smooth and steady, but rather that it can occasionally be characterized by strong jerks along the road. "We're trying to understand the straw that breaks the camel's back," she added. Ebinger believes that the pressure has built up as a result of rising magma and could be the cause of the explosive events that have been observed in the Afar region. She compared the situation to overfilling a balloon, which results in an incredible amount of tension on the surface of the balloon. As a result, it doesn't take much to alleviate the pressure, which ultimately leads to the balloon popping. These rifting episodes will, over the course of time, transform the continent of Africa. Although each plate boundary in the Afar region is moving at a different rate, the combined forces of these separating plates are creating what is known as a mid-ocean ridge system. This is the location where a new ocean will eventually form. According to McDonald, the Gulf of Aden and the Red Sea will flood in over the Afar region and into the East African Rift Valley and become a new ocean, and that part of East Africa will become its own separate small continent. The three plates are peeling apart from one another at varying rates. According to McDonald, the Arabian Plate is peeling away from the African Plate at a rate of approximately 1 inch per year, while the two African plates are peeling away from one another at an even slower rate, between 1/10 and 1/2 an inch per year. Researchers believe that there are definite indicators that this transition is taking place, despite the fact that the rifting process may be taking place at a glacial rate. When the plates begin to detach from one another, material from deeper within the Earth's interior begins to migrate toward the surface, where it forms oceanic crust at the ridges. Moore stated that we can see that oceanic crust is starting to form due to the fact that the composition of oceanic crust is noticeably unique from that of continental crust in both density and content. The difficulties of dividing Africa in two by constructing a new ocean that runs right down the middle of the continent are considerable. The first step is to determine if a new ocean is necessary. Can we stop it if that's not the case? If so, how do we plan for it, taking into account the vast tracts of land that will be ceded to it, the people who will be uprooted as a result, and the countries that will be reborn, merged, or created? Choosing a name for the new ocean is a simple first step toward preparing for this future. The Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean form Africa's northern border, the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean form its eastern, and the Atlantic and Indian Oceans meet at Africa's southern tip, but not one of these shares its moniker. Until the 19th century, the Atlantic was known as the Ethiopian Ocean. However, it was eventually renamed Atlantikoi Pelagiae, or the Sea of Atlas, after the Greek god Atlas. Considering that the African Union, or AU, has failed, through diplomatic discussions and the United Nations, to get the Atlantic or Indian Oceans officially renamed after Africa, perhaps the new ocean that may form in another 5 to 10 million years will be dubbed the African Ocean. But do we really need to wait so long? About 240 million years ago, the Earth's surface was home to a single supercontinent called Pangea, which eventually broke up into the 7 continents we know today. Since Africa is pregnant once more, the world will soon welcome its 8th continent. Over the past 30 million years, the Arabian Plate has been gradually drifting away from its parent continent of Africa, resulting in the formation of the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. Most Africans celebrate a new baby's arrival. They usually pick a specific day to break out the drums and have a party in honor of the child's new name. But if a new continent is born to us, can we do less? Should we be thrilled about the prospect of a divided continent? Zambia, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Malawi are all landlocked countries, although they do have their own coast, which is an obvious benefit. Geologists, however, believe that the portion of Africa that includes Somalia, Eritrea, Djibouti, eastern Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, and Mozambique, where the valley ends, may drift away from the rest of the emergent continent. There is no doubt that the discovery of a new ocean will lead to a boom in nautical pursuits like shipping and fishing, as well as provide a potential shortcut to other parts of the Earth. Is this an opportunity Africa should seize, or should we instead let outsiders dominate the shipping lanes of the future? Let us know in the comment section below. And that's all for today's video, but we'll be right back with more videos soon. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and please subscribe to our channel, and thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.